Welcome into another edition of Dolphins Today. I'm your host, Jake Riepma. Thanks so much for joining us. And hey, you know how the saying goes in the National Football League, and really all football for that matter. You get 24 hours. So 24 hours to enjoy that record-breaking 70-20 win over the Denver Broncos in week number 3. But hey, it's time to move on. So you know what that means. We are on to Buffalo. It's an AFC East Divisional Showdown, a huge road test for the Dolphins in this early portion of the season, who are, by the way, the only undefeated team remaining in the AFC at 3-0. But they're a road underdog, 2.5 points by the spread, over-under at 53.5. But that's all right. I like a little underdog mentality for the Dolphins going on the road. And hey, if you subscribe to the channel, you know how we do it around here. We're having a huge watch party on Sunday. Join us for that. We'll have a great pregame show leading up to kickoff. We'll have a lot of fun, play-by-play analysis, giveaways, super chats, you know, the whole 9 yards. So you don't want to miss out on that. Subscribe to the channel today. But 3-0 Dolphins versus 2-1 Bills. All kinds of divisional implications on the line in this one. So let's start at the very top. Mike McDaniel's year number 2 as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Sean McDermott, who has had his way against the Dolphins, 4-1 record in his career coaching the Bills against the Dolphins, compared to McDaniel, who is 1-2 against Buffalo. We don't have to remember that long ago as the way the Dolphins season ended last year in the AFC wildcard round, of course, without quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. So Tua's 1-1 in his and was 1-1 last season against the Bills. Skylar Thompson 0-1 in that wild card game in the playoffs. But great coaching matchup in this one. In my opinion, Mike McDaniel, your early favorite for Coach of the Year against one of the best, Sean McDermott, whose Bills team, despite getting off to the rough start in this season of the National Football League, they've played a lot better in the last 2 weeks. But I got to ask you, let's get it going early on. Who you got in this one? It's a statement game for the Dolphins. Let me know in the chat. Type D if you like the Dolphins, or B if you're going to take the favorite at home, the Buffalo Bills. Let me know in the chat. And if you know what, this Buffalo Bills team, yes, they're 2-1 on the season, but they have a lot of strengths of this team, especially on the defensive end. They are tough. Take a look at some of the noteworthy accomplishments from the Bills in just 3 weeks of this season so far. They put a whooping on the Washington Commanders a week ago. They're the first team since 1985. The Cowboys did it to record 4 interceptions and 9 sacks in a single game. So they were chasing down Sam Howell all game long. Terrell Bernard had a whale of a game. First player with 2+ sacks and 1 interception, as well as a fumble recovery since Brian Urlacher did it back in 2007. And this Bills defense, first in takeaways, first in interceptions, first in pressure percentage. So they get after you, not to mention they're third in scoring defense as well. So this Bills defense, make no mistake about it, the toughest defense the Dolphins will have faced so far this season. A lot of strengths on this Bills team. Obviously, the good head coach we talked about was Sean McDermott. Knows what he's doing. The Bills have been the cream of the crop in the AFC East. Josh Allen is elite at the quarterback position. He's one of the candidates for MVP. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And I'm not trying to gas up the opponent and put them on some kind of pedestal, but it's important to get to know your opponent, because I think the Dolphins have been the better team on paper in each of their first 3 matchups. Now, for the first time this season, they're an underdog on the road. Obviously, part of that lethal passing game that Josh Allen brings is his connection with Stephon Diggs, who is a legit talent at wide receiver, a legit number 1. And their offensive line protects Josh Allen and opens up spots in the run game as well. It's a very balanced offense. They're 7th in passing offense and 7th in rushing offense. So obviously the balance is achieved there by this Buffalo Bills offense. So a very talented team, and no way the Dolphins can take this team lightly. And I don't think anyone in the Miami Dolphins organization would even suggest taking the Bills lightly based on what they've done. So obviously this is a team that is very, very talented on both sides of the ball. But I want to ask you, given how well our Dolphins have started this season, also while taking on a tough team like the Buffalo Bills, it's going to be so important for the Dolphins to protect Tua and their offensive line to continue doing what they've done in each of the first 3 games. They've been one of the highest rated offensive lines in the National Football League. But this is a totally different test, totally different defense. This is a defense that compiled 9 sacks last week. Tua's only been sacked twice in 3 games. So what's your confidence level in the offensive line in this huge AFC East showdown against Buffalo? Scale it for me, 1 through 10. It's our pinned comment today, so if that ad break hits you, just get down to the comments and let me know, 1 through 10, your confidence level in the offensive line against Buffalo. See, I think this is a great opportunity for the Miami Dolphins to prove how legitimate they are on, yes, both sides of the ball, but also for this offense. They've been getting all kinds of love, and rightfully so. When you put up 70 points on 10 touchdowns in one game, you are going to get a lot of love. But to do it against a stout defense like Buffalo would tell us everything we need to know. So I am labeling this a prove-it game. Offensively, if the Dolphins can prove how real they are against a team like Buffalo on the road, I think the rest of the National Football League takes note. And yes, the Dolphins they've done all they can through 3 weeks, but to do it against a divisional opponent, against a perennial power, against a legitimate team on the road like Buffalo would ice out any doubters at least 4 weeks in, for that matter. Let's take a look at this quarterback matchup as well, because it's one of the best in the National Football League. Tua, your current front runner for MVP in the National Football League, and obviously Josh Allen, he's elite as well. But Tua has the upper hand in yards with 1,024 compared to Josh Allen's 728. And take a look at that average. That's per pass attempt, better than 10 yards for Tua compared to 6.6 for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's had a little bit of a turnover problem. 5 total turnovers with the 4 interceptions. I beg your pardon, 6 total because he's got the 2 fumbles as well. So more turnovers, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles compared to the touchdowns, which he has 5 of, whereas Tua 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Dolphins Today is presented by Prize Picks. You guys, I'm so pumped to tell you about Prize Picks for a couple of different reasons. But first and foremost, because it's easily the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And on top of that, what I really like, it's super easy to use and ultimately easy to win big. How easy? So glad you asked. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stat totals, and place your entry. It's that easy. So forget the complicated spreadsheets. They never work anyways. Quit trying to beat the Sharks. With Prize Picks, it's just you versus the projections, baby. And I'm all ready to go for Sunday already. You know I'm all about the Dolphins on Dolphins Today. So for Tyreek's projected receiving yards total at 94.5, I'm going more. Now, I know it's a tough defense against Buffalo, but that doesn't matter. For Tua Tagovailoa, I'm also going on his projected stat total of 276 yards and a half. I'm going with more on that as well. And that's how easy it is. Simple as that. So don't waste any more time. Set up your Prize Picks account today. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/CLNS DolphinsToday.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to 100 buckaroos. And not to worry, that link will be in the comments and the description of today's video. But don't waste any more time. Do it now. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. All right, it's never too early to get into keys to victory. And for those watching at home, I know some of these might sound a little similar week in and week out, but for the first 3 weeks of the season, we've had a pretty similar game plan. And I think, in my humble opinion, we've been on the same page as Mike McDaniel because they have executed these keys to victory. And obviously, with the 3-0 record, it's boded pretty well for the Dolphins. So first and foremost, stop me if I sound like a broken record, but protect Tua. And like I said earlier in the video, we're labeling this a prove-it game, especially for that offensive line. Teron Armstead was back in the lineup in week 3. He was such a value add to this offensive line. And if you can continue to strike balance between the run game and the pass game, that keeps the defense on their toes. So protect Tua in the passing game. He's only been sacked twice this entire season through 3 games. That's been excellent. But let's prove it on the road against a tough Buffalo Bills team. Now, in games like these, divisional matchup games, on the road against good teams, adversity is going to happen. It's not going to be a 70-20 snooze fest blowout game like it was in week number 3. And that's not a bad thing. Not all games in the National Football League can you win by 50 points. Obvious, right? So when something goes wrong, I don't want to say if, I want to say when something goes wrong. Maybe it's a turnover. Maybe it's a 3 and out. Maybe it's Josh Allen making plays. Something is not going to go according to the script in this game. But stay the course. The Dolphins can prove how tough they are between the years by overcoming any of the inevitable adversity that happens in divisional matchups on the road. So stay the course and win the turnover battle. This is a team, the Buffalo Bills, that is, regardless of how good they are, especially on offense, they're prone to turning the ball over. So if this defense can continue to be opportunistic, continue to force the offense to make bad decisions, that's going to bode well for the Dolphins in this one. And again, it might be repetitive, but it's so crucial. It is vital to win the turnover battle. And this is a different defense than we faced the previous week and really throughout the entire season with the Chargers in week 1 and the Patriots in week 2, now in the Broncos in week 3. The Bills' defense is completely different, much more talented, much more aggressive, and the same could be said about their offense. It's a talented offense. They are special in a lot of different areas, so that's going to require a level of disciplined football. Some things that you got away with in week 3, you won't be able to get away with in week 4. And again, that might sound like pointing out the obvious, but it's so crucial to play disciplined football when you're on the road against a good team. And last, but certainly not least, the guy for the Bills that can beat you on the offensive end is Josh Allen. So make him beat himself. Those turnovers, try to force fumbles, try to be in the passing lanes on the defensive backside of things. Javon Holland's been tremendous. Kader Kohou's been tremendous. Both of those guys were 2 of the top-rated players at their position, at the safety position for Holland and the cornerback position for Kader Kohou. He's coming into his own, and I really think the pressure that the Dolphins' defensive front can put on Josh Allen will also contribute to slowing down Josh Allen. So, execute those keys to the victory. You know, at some point in time during this game, it's not going to go perfectly. You got to overcome some adversity, but I believe this Dolphins team has what it takes to move to 4-0. Before we get into the final score prediction, there is somewhat of an update on the injury side of things. Remember, River Craycraft left the game against the Broncos. Mike McDaniel spoke yesterday on his injury status, dealing with a shoulder injury. We're not exactly sure what the timeline is. It's more than day-to-day, but less than long-term. So we'll continue to monitor that and see how Mike McDaniel continues to inform the media and everybody in and around the Dolphins camp on River Craycraft's status. But kudos to Robbie Chosen. He stepped in and played really well in his absence. Jalen Waddle missed the Week 3 game against the Broncos due to that concussion he suffered in Week 2, but the feeling around the team is they're very optimistic that he'll be able to pass concussion protocol and be available for this Week 4 game against the Buffalo Bills. We'll keep you posted on that as well. Jalen Phillips, listed as day-to-day. We'll see how he practices this week, if he's limited in practice, if he ramps it up, or where he's at with those back spasms. But Mike McDaniel seemed a little bit more optimistic about Jalen Phillips, and the same can be said about Connor Williams. Day-to-day, same boat as Phillips, monitoring it very closely and having it a day-to-day scenario through practice as well, whether that means limited in practice or ramping it up in hopes of playing on Sunday against the Bills. So let's close it out with that score prediction. Let me know in the comments. I don't see the Dolphins scoring 70 in this one, but that high-powered offense will be trouble for the Bills to stop as soon as, or as we hope that Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel will continue to be on the same page in all aspects. So go ahead, predict the score in the comments. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our Dolphins Today channel. We've got daily Dolphins updates for you, injury news, and watch parties. We have a blast on the watch parties. My score prediction, I love the Dolphins to move to 4-0, make a statement to the rest of the AFC East. Now, again, it's not going to be as high scoring as last week, so give me the Dolphins 27-23 in this one. I want to thank everybody for watching and thank everybody that are already members of our Aqua Club. This was something we started in the Week 3 watch party against the Broncos. First watch party we do the Aqua Club, the Dolphins score 70 points. Coincidence? I think not. So shout out Chad Jones, shout out Lord Buddy Bear, and David Breecount for joining our Aqua Club members. And David Breecount was our Super Chat MVP in Week 3, so we owe him a custom Dolphins pennant that we have ready to order. But David Breecount, you got to let me know where to ship it to. So we've got it all ready to go. Just need your address. So we let you know, Riepma@chatsports.com is my email. We'll have it in the description as well. So David Breecount, our Super Chat MVP from Week 3, we want to send you that victory pennant, man. So thanks so much for supporting the show. You too can be a part of the Aqua Club membership. It takes $100 and you are an Aqua Club member for life. So go Dolphins, fins up. Big game on Sunday, AFC East Divisional Showdown on the road against the Bills. I can't wait for that. We'll have more Dolphins video leading up to Sunday's kickoff. So until then, looking forward to it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Go Dolphins.